All right, so the link should pop up. Remember that it's in week 0. There should be a link for my YouTube channel unless you have it saved or whatever. Do you have to be signed in with a certain account to be able to access it?
You can't be signed in on the Wicker State account, but any other account should work, I think.
Huh. Okay. That's annoying. Okay. I should probably open up the book too. Oh, that's not going to have it. There we go. All right, lesson 7. Links, both external and internal. This nowhere close goes to the order that it's supposed to be in. All right, so let's make a new folder for lesson 7. Let me go ahead and close these other ones so I can see what I'm doing. That's not how you spell lesson. Oh, and I put that inside the wrong place. All right, so I'm just going to make an index to throw examples in for now. This might change into the assignment file or not, I'm not sure. We'll type in HTML and then hit tab to get that auto template thing filled out. And then let's switch back to this. Okay, linking between pages of your own website. Let's start with that. Okay, so here I'm just going to make a heading for calling this page 1. And then I'm going to make a new file. With a heading called page 2. Oops. All right, so from here, if I open up index, there's my page 1. And temp, there's my page 2. All right, so I have 2 pages, but I want to be able to access both of them from each other, so I need to make a link. To make a link, we'll start here. A link is made with A. Oh my gosh, A. Well, that's an anchor, but let's do this tag. Oh my gosh. Why is it not cooperating for me? Did the same thing, whatever. Okay, so for a link, links will always have a hypertext reference. If it's just equal to hashtag, that just reloads the page. Doesn't do anything. So I'm going to make this link go to page 2. So if I go back over here and click refresh, I can now see page 2. It's a link If I click on it, it just refreshes the page by putting this hashtag right there on the end. Doesn't do anything. So if I go back in here, we're going to change that. So we're going to make this the reference to the new location. And we'll say that is temp.html. Because that's the location where I want it to go. So if I go back here, refresh my page 1, get rid of that thing, and click on page 2, it now changes to page 2, and I can see it's now temp.html. However, from temp, I don't have a way to get back, so I'm going to go into temp and add a way there. This time I'm going to have the header be it, so I'm going to put a link around my header. Hrefs always have to be inside quotes. And now when I refresh my page 2, the page 2 heading itself is now a link. I can click on that, it takes me to page 1, and I can see my other link there. Is this quality working for the ultra low latency? I see it's refreshing much faster on your guys' pages, so that's nice. Okay. So these are called relative addresses because it says from our current location, go to this new location. So if I wanted to go to, say, like a home page or a different file, I would have to use system commands to get to that location. So here is another page. Let's say I want to link to the schedule from lesson 6. So from this current location, which is the index file inside lesson 7, I need to go up one directory. To do that, you do .. That means go up one. If I wanted to go up 2 directories, I would do .. again. Does that make sense? Just .. means go up. In this case, I only want to do it once because now I'm inside the web templates directory because that's one up from the lesson 7. Then I want to go to lesson 6. And from there, I want to go to the schedule file. Assuming that this is all spelled right, I'm not sure if I did. Looks like it is. Because if I misspell or mistype anything, it will not work, right? It has to be exactly the way it is saved on the computer/web server. All right, so this is also a relative link, right? Starting at my current location, here's how I get to something. Absolute links need to, let's change this to make this another page absolute. That's not how you spell absolute. I don't know how to spell absolute. I don't care. An absolute link has to be a complete web address. Actually, I think it's just http:/www. Have we covered what HTTP stands for? It would have been like lesson 1. So that's forever ago.
I think we touched on it.
Hypertext, HT, right? This is HTML, so it's hypertext markup language. HTTP is hypertext transfer protocol. It's what the internet runs on to load web pages. So absolute links will always start with an HTTP or HTTPS. The difference between the two is that S stands for secure. I don't think my website is behind a secure wall, so I'm just going to leave it like that one. And pull up my index. Yep. Yeah, it's not secure, which is fine because I don't need my personal website to be in a secure thing because you're not going to be entering insecure information. All right, so all these links are on the same line. Give me 2 ways I could break these links up over multiple lines. What's one thing I could add to my code? Yeah. BRs. I can add a line break. Doing that, we'll put it on the next line. What's another thing I could do? I can make the actual text be a paragraph element. The biggest difference here is with the paragraph element, I will now get padding and margins, right? Whereas line break won't do that. So now we have this padding above and below. So if I open up the developer options in Chrome, do the select element stuff, I can see that this is, because it's a paragraph tab, has all this extra stuff around it, whereas this has nothing around it because it's just a link element. And that doesn't come with any padding or any margin. So if I can click on that. Yeah. So here, dang it. Yeah. So clicking on the link element itself, I can see we have no margin, no padding, no border, and the size is set to auto. Whereas with this element, because it's around a paragraph, I have a margin of 16 on the top and bottom, none on the left or right, no border, no padding, and the size is set to this. So how you want to break things up works like that too. I could put them inside list elements if I wanted to, but that would have the bullet points like we saw last week. Okay, so relative. From my current location, where do I go? Relative is best for your files, for your website content. Absolute obviously is best for outside content, when you're linking to other locations that you don't have access to the actual code. Okay. All right, so that's relative and absolute links and how to make links. Let's jump to the textbook real quick and see. All right, linking between pages on our site, done. Linking to external content, done. Let's do linking to knob web documents. I'm going to make a new document here. No, I'm not. Not with that. I'm going to... I can do it that way. Okay. All right, so here I'm going to make a link to an image. So here we got a href. Okay, so from here I'm going to go up. I'm going to go to mrsimonson.net. This is my local repository, mrsimonson.net, not the web page, right? From there, I'm going to go into files. And then from there, I want, let's do simonson.png. All right, when you're doing files or anything else with WebDev, the file extension, the dot whatever, extremely important that it matches the capitalization and the spelling. They always have to be there. Oh, something that really catches people is JPGs. So here's a JPG, right? JPEGs. Sometimes that's spelled JPG, sometimes it's spelled JPEG. Sometimes they use caps, sometimes they use lowercase. You have to match whatever the file uses, because in web, the spelling has to be absolute. All right, so there's a link to a thing, and this is a picture of me, so whatever. We'll go back here, go to my index, refresh. So because this is a link to a file, when I click on it, it will not work. Because I didn't spell my name right. Right here. All right. Clicking on it will load the file, or download it if it's not something that will be loaded. This file is not compressed, so it takes time to load it, as you can see. Looks like those films from the 90s when people were trying to load images, right? Super slow internet stuff. Yeah, it's not huge, but it's big enough that it's a pain to do that with all the things going on. Oh, I want to go back to my index. There we go. So linking to any other type of file is just that way. What's this? Tests. Let's throw in... No. Does that make sense? Address to the file's name, and including the extension. Make sure that the extension is spelled the same way. Atom, I think by default, please confirm this for me, does show the file extension. Is that correct? So when your Atom, when you open things up, are you seeing .html, .whatever by default? Okay. Yes. Good. It's because it's a developer environment, and for developers, file extensions are extremely important. For regular people, not so much. You don't really care what kind of file it is. You just want to double click on it and have your computer take care of it. But for developers, extremely important knowing what the file type is, because you're controlling what the computer does with certain things. So to upload things, you just drop it into your GitHub thing, upload it, and then you can link to it locally, or you could have it stored somewhere else and link to it absolutely if it was like a file on your Google Drive or something like that. Okay, so non-web documents. Let's skip that one for now. Let's go to window targets. Where is... Boom. There we go. I just want to check one more thing here. I know that one. That's the one I wanted. Okay. All right, so when you click on a link, the default action is to change the current tab to go to this new location. Sometimes that's not what you want to have happen. To change that, you can say target equals something. Target equals underscore blank will make it open in a new window. Or a new tab, sorry. So if I click on SimulPic now, it's a new tab. I still have my original one open. From the book, we can see that we can do new window as well. Let's do that one here. Does it start with a capital N for new window? No, it is lowercase. Well, camel case. So if I do that, and then I go here, that did not open it in a new window. Opened in a new tab. Okay. That's not overly surprising, to be honest. Pop-up windows is something that we don't like anymore. So we'll just stick with the underscore blank for a new tab, because there are plenty of cases for that. But a new window with pop-ups, super annoying. We don't like that. Okay. Let's do... Jump up here. Styling links, descriptions to links. All right, let's do web email addresses next. So I'm going to make a paragraph tag here to break things out a bit. I'm going to also add another BR because I want to have some space. I'm going to put a link around this. All right. To make an email link, you still use the same link setup, but you start the href with a mail to. Apparently there's a built-in that gave me more stuff than I wanted. Okay. Mail to. Then you put an email in there. Do I want joe@example.com? Sure, we'll leave joe@example.com. I'm not going to put my email in there. All right. I'm going to delete that for a second. With email links, what did I do wrong? I did something wrong. It has an extra thing. Got that. Okay. Didn't delete all the stuff that was added. Okay, so email me. There we go. When I click on that, it will open up the computer's default message handler and set the to that email that we set inside the mail to. So for this computer, I'm having Thunderbird be my default email handler, and it pops that up. You can have Google, you can have Outlook as the web do that as well. It will open it up in the web-based browser, or you can have physical programs like I'm using Thunderbird as a physical program to do that. We can add additional stuff to that by having a question mark and then the name of what we want, like subject. Is it equals? I'm trying to remember. I don't think it's equals. Oh, so just, yeah, it is equals. Okay. Subject has to be lowercase. Equals, and then you put what your subject is. This is my subject. Right? So now when I click on that, it's going to open it up and automatically fill out the subject line for me as well. The best example I can do for this would be with my mail to for contacting people. All right, so if I copy this email address, does that copy the whole thing? That's the question. Nope, just copied the email address. That's not what we want. Okay, then. Showing you my secrets. There we go. Okay, so for an example on the New Ames website, to submit attendance, we have the super long thing, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on soft wrap. So line 15 goes beyond, so I'm going to have it come over on a new line here. So it mails to our registrar, And then we add these arguments. That's what the question mark stands for, is for arguments. We have the subject equal to this. I'm actually going to cut that. And let's go ahead and put it right in on our example, so we can see how that works. All right, so refresh, click, boom. Oh, this one doesn't have a subject. I messed up somewhere. I have 2 question marks. That's what's going on. Okay, there we go. So I fill out the subject, right? And then I can also fill out body text as well. So let's break this down here. So we have subject equals this. This here is the HTML escape sequence for a space character. Because because web addresses can't have spaces. Right? So this sequence right here, %20, says, okay, replace these 3 characters with a single press of the space bar, a single white space. Then I have the and symbol. This means I'm going to add another target, in this case the body, for the body of the message, and I'm going to add stuff to that. So I have the student space name 3A, which I think stands for a colon, because colon is something that's usually inside a web address, right? HTTP colon. If you just use a colon by default, it will determine which port number the website uses. Kind of advanced networking stuff, but that's not what I wanted to click on. So we need to use a special escape sequence to show that. Then I have another space, right, %20, and then I have %D, or %0D and %0A, which I'm guessing represents a new line character with those 2 things, so that it works on Windows and Mac computers. One's probably a new line character, one's probably a carriage return. You know, like a typewriter, right? The carriage, that's what this little cursor is, goes over, and then it says ding, we're at the end, and so you have to return the carriage back and feed a new line. So that's why there are 2 things for the new line. Does that make sense? It's ridiculous that computers still do this based on typewriters, because we're better than that now, but that's how it is. Actually, it's ridiculous that Windows still does this, because Windows is the only operating system that I'm aware of that has the 2 characters for a new line, the new line feed and carriage return, instead of just like Mac and Linux that just use new line, because it makes sense. Anyways, then I got the date, colon, space, new line, periods, colon, space, new line, right? How do you figure out this stuff? Google. How do you know that it's something that's not allowed? Trial and error does work, but if it's something that needs to be used inside a web address or a symbol, chances are good that you're going to want to use something different, right? For example, if I wanted to include a question mark, well, that's a special character that means something different, so I need to make an escape sequence for a question mark. We good with that? Yeah, and you just would do a search for like HTML question mark. Dun 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 dun. That's annoying. Oh, these are the HTML ones. Right, the short ones. I forgot about that. These must be UML something. That's annoying. No, this is XML. Interesting. I thought the search would be easier, so now we're going to go until we figure it out. If I just search for a question mark, there we go. Some things have HTML code for easy stuff. Some things don't. Quotes do. Ampersands do. Surprised that question mark doesn't. I believe it's the hex value. Yeah, it's the hex value for what I'm using. And I'm just shorting it down to 2 characters. So if I wanted to, I could write out the entire message just using the codes for those characters. But that's overkill, right? Don't need to. So if I want a question mark to show up, I would do, I believe, oh no, this is different, yeah. Ampersand hashtag 63, which is the decimal code for it, whereas ampersand hashtag X 3F would be the hexadecimal, thus the X. Interesting. Because this is using a UTF-8 stuff. For hexadecimal things. Yeah, so I would suggest going to W3 Schools and then searching up the specific character, or going straight to HTML. Is there a drop down for that? No. References. References would be good. HTML. Character sets. There we go. And I would go straight to UTF-8. Because then you can figure out what the codes are going to be straight from there and jump to what you want from it inside that. But that's also how you can get additional things to show up, right? Emojis, dingbacks. I can just plug that in and that will show up on my website. Oh my gosh. I can grab this. There we go. And then I go to my code. And I say, you know what, let's change it from page 1 to this lion. Go to my index, hit refresh, boom, it's a lion. Okay? Didn't cover that with my last lesson. Okay, so I'm going to close all this. Go back here. Yeah, you can do CCs, you can do BCCs. You just have to have an ampersand between each different tag, I guess. Subject is a tag, CC is a tag, body is a tag. Okay, let's do giving titles to links. We haven't already covered title, right? In this new setting. So we're going to cover it now. All right. This title up here is a title tag. Title tag is metadata, right? This determines what the tab is going to be called. A title attribute goes inside a tag that already exists. Titles are also known as tooltips. When you hover over something that has a title, the title will pop up as an interactive way of seeing how things work. So here I'm hovering over a link. It says here's a title because I have a title attribute inside my link. I'm hovering over this header. It says I'm a lion because that's the title I added. That's useful to have hidden stuff, extra things inside when you hover over things to see what's going on with stuff. Right? Let's do anchors now. It's kind of weird to me that they throw anchors in the top, but that's okay. That requires a lot of junk. Okay. Okay. Display the p tags. Copy to clipboard. All right, so now I'm going to throw in some dummy text, and lots of it. Hooray. Now my page has... Oh, not enough text to even scroll. Lame. 1,000 words. In 10 paragraphs. And let's add another 1,000 to the bottom. There we go. Okay. Right. Now I have a scroll bar. That works. Awesome. Okay, so we can make links that go to certain locations. Okay. To do that, something is going to need an ID. So we're going to go down to the bottom paragraph here. We're going to give this an ID. ID equals bottom, because it's the bottom paragraph. To jump to that location on the page, I include a hashtag, right? Because that's how you would do the CSS for it. And the name of the link. Hashtag bottom. So now if I refresh this page, I got that link, and when I click on it, it scrolls me to the bottom of the page. If there was more stuff below this bottom paragraph, the bottom paragraph would go until it gets to this location, the top of my screen. Does that make sense? But because there's nothing below it, there's no more way to scroll, so it just gets it right there. So links, linking to an anchor has to be done with an ID. You can even see up here how that's created. So if you already know that you have IDs for all different sections inside your website, you can jump to those locations directly by just adding that to the end of the website address. All right, so the last thing that we need to cover is CSS for styling links. Nope, let's click. I clicked on something. What did I click on? Who knows? I'm going to close this. Don't need that. Okay. All right, these are the most common things used on links for CSS. If the link hasn't been visited, we can change what it looks like by using a:link in our CSS. Right? Because if we just do a, it will change how it looks for the default thing, but not specific things. So unclicked links, CSS is a link. Clicked links is a visited. Hover, how it looks when you hover over something. I'm going to zoom in here. So right now the hover is set to do nothing. I can set it to do something. Right? We can see the default value for unvisited links is blue, and it's purple for visited links. All right, focus. So touchscreen type things, which I don't really have, so I can't really show that because the padding's really low. Oh, there is a hover on these links, right? The cursor changes, right? Because it's to the pointer clicker cursor. That's part of the hover thing that you can do. And a.active is how it looks while you're actively clicking on it. In this case, the default value is red. And then you just CSS it as normal. I think there was one more thing that I need to talk about with that, and that's the text decorations. Yes, text decoration. Underline is a text decoration. So if you set it to none, then it's not going to have that underline. There's also like strike through and double strike through and some other things like that. Let me see what Atom has built in. So if we go to, yeah, let's do this one. And let's do style. Is it with the hyphen? Yes. It is with a hyphen. It's not going to do it. It's lame that it's not going to do it, but that's okay. So if I do none on this one, then I can go back here. Not that one. And now I don't have that underline because I set the text decoration to none. For this one, there's a couple other ones. I was trying to see if Atom would pull up a list. Yeah, it's not pulling up the list. That's unfortunate. Is it called strike or is it called strike through? We'll find out. It's not strike. It's not strike through either. Overline line through is what it is. And you can combine something things together. So we have an overline, we have a line through, we have an underline, and then we can have both. Okay. All right. I think that's all I wanted to cover from the book. I think it's ready to. It's time to start looking at the assignment. Using links effectively. Yeah, we can deal with that later. Okay, so the assignment. All right, so we're going to make a file and call it links. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to close this so I can see my location. In here, new file. We got links. We'll set up the default stuff. Oops, not do that. Need a minimum of 3 absolute link addresses to your favorite websites. Relative address to your live index page. Add the attached page to your folder and anchor it. So I'm going to download this. That was not download. That's annoying. All right, each link should have a title and a non-default value for link, visited, hover, active, as well as a non-default web font using internal CSS. So we're going to want a style tag. We're going to want a link to have stuff. We're going to want a, what was it? Hover to have stuff. We're going to want a visited to have stuff. Let's see what else we're going to want. Active. Okay. We're also going to want a non-default web font, so I'm going to head ahead and say that all of my A's will use that. Is it font face or font family?
It's font family. I could be wrong.
It's font family.
Is it with a hyphen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll do that in a second. All right, so I'm just throwing those inside A's so I don't have to worry about paragraphs and whatnot, because paragraphs would be inside A's so that they should take the outermost, I think. Let me check that. We're going to set that to a default monospace thing. We're going to have an A with an href, which doesn't go anywhere for now because it doesn't matter. Inside we're going to have a paragraph. Just to see if this works. Yes, it does. Okay. It takes the outermost thing unless the innermost has something on inline. So that makes sense. By setting the links to use this monospace, even though this is a paragraph, it takes this because it's inside that. All right, so we're going to have those values. You're going to go in and figure out what colors or fonts or whatever that you want for those things. You're going to have 3 absolute links plus a relative link to your index page. Oh my gosh, I'm clicking on things all over the place. So we'll have three absolute, 1 relative to my index and one more linking to an anchor. So we'll call this absolute 1. Doesn't matter, yours is probably going to be different. Absolute 2. Absolute 3. Index relative, which is most likely just going to be ... index. Right, because this, our current location is inside lesson 7. This will take us to the assignments folder. This will take us outside of the assignments. Oh, we have to do one more. Lesson 7, assignments. No, it should just be 2. Because that would take me here, that would take me here into the bigger thing, and yours would be inside the assignments thing inside there. So your relative link should look, actually it should be that, exactly that. Assuming that you have the file structure set up correctly on your Git repository. And then for the last one, oh, they all need to have titles, right? Right, so you're going to want that inside each one before you copy and paste them all down. And then for this one, we're going to link to the link. Is it underscore? No, it's a hyphen. me.html. And we want to go to a certain index there. What was it? H2 with the ID link. Right, so on this page, go to the anchor link. Which it did do. Okay. All right, rest of the time is yours to go through that. Let me know if you have questions. I'm going to stop the stream and finish filling it out and making it ready to go.